Alright, it's hot pepper season and I have so many different kind of hot peppers planted outside, and I've been in the process of making some pepper vinegars, which I showed you how to do last season. You can go back and check the videos on that. But this year I'm going to put up some pepper jellies. They're very popular in the south. I don't know how popular they are in the more northern states, but I know down here a lot of people make them. They're really good. Normally they're served with cream cheese on a cracker as like an hors d'oeuvre, but it's served often too with like lambs or specialty meats and stuff. And basically it's a sweet, spicy jelly. And all the ingredients you're going to need, I'm going to go ahead and list them for you. It's very simple to make. All we need is a couple of bell peppers. We're going to need about a cup's worth, but I'll go through this in the steps as we make it. We're going to need about a half a cup's worth of jalapenos. We're going to need about 5 cups worth of white sugar, a pack of fruit pectin, about a cup and a half of apple cider vinegar. And that's all it is. It's really simple. I'm going to show you how to make it. Now, if you want it a little bit more spicy, if you like things a little hotter, you can add either like a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, or since I have a bunch of cayennes growing outside, I could add a cayenne pepper. Or if you like things really hot, you could throw in a habanero, which I have growing outside too. A good twist on this is to make a spicy jalapeno strawberry jelly, which you would just basically add for chunks of strawberry, maybe 3 or 4 cups worth. There's a slightly different recipe for that. I'm probably going to make some of that too, and I'll show you how to do that later. But definitely for right now, we're going to make a traditional basic pepper jelly with jalapenos and bell peppers. Just to give you a little touch of this year's pepper vinegars, the way I'm doing them, I'm basically, because I have so many different kinds of pepper plants, I'm just making a cocktail of pepper vinegars. And because they're producing at different times, what I did is I just went ahead and put my seasonings in here, my garlic, my onions, my peppers, my salt, garlic salt, Tony's, whatever kind of seasonings you want in it. I went ahead and put it in there with some vinegar and a little bit of distilled water, and that I'm leaving it with room kind of half open so that as the plants, because I have a lot of these little basket of fire peppers in there because they're really pretty. So I'm just adding them as they ripen to the mix and leaving enough room to make sure that they're completely covered. And then when it starts to get, a little bit more full, I'll go ahead and add whatever left of the vinegar and distilled water that I need. So that way I just can keep adding throughout the season. And I've got a couple of jars like this started, so I can, by the end of the season, I'll end up with several pretty little jars like this. Alright, our first step we need to get a cup's worth of minced bell peppers. Now you can do this with red bell peppers or green bell peppers. It is prettier if you do red bell peppers and green jalapenos, because then you're mixing colors and it makes for a very pretty jelly. You can leave your jelly somewhat clear with the peppers showing through it, which again is very pretty, or you can add a drop of food coloring if you want to color it, all the way green or all the way red, or you can add shreds of carrot or anything just for extra flavor. Extra color. It doesn't alter the flavor. Now, these actually are red bell peppers. You can see it a little bit starting to turn red on this one. Now, the thing with my bell peppers is as soon as they turn red, I pick them off the vine, I dice them up, and I throw them in the freezer because they'll last a really long time in there. And then when I'm cooking as I need it, I'll just go break a little chunk off and throw it in the pot. So I don't have many on the vine that are red, only a couple that are turning red to show you. But I have a bunch in the freezer that are already minced. So I'm going to add a little bit of that in with this just to give it a splash of color. But we need 1 cup's worth of bell pepper. Take the seeds out. We don't need the seeds. Now you could dice these up really fine by hand if you wanted to, but to really get those flavors all loose in in the jelly and the mix, I'm going to go ahead and dice it in a food processor. So you want to mince it in a food processor. So go ahead and do that. It makes it a lot simpler. Judging about a cup's worth is going to really be about the size of 1 large. See my bag of frozen bell peppers from ones I've already harvested. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of red ones in there. So basically 1 cup's worth of bell pepper is going to more or less be the size of 1 really large bell pepper, or 2 smaller bell peppers. I'm going to go ahead and do 1 more small one because I'm going to lose a little bit of that when I mince it. Maybe even just a half. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science or brain surgery. It doesn't have to be exactly precise as far as the pepper portions are concerned, especially the bell pepper, because there's no heat in that. The only thing you want to make sure that you do exactly the same is your vinegar and your sugar, so you don't end up with botulism in your jars. We're going to combine all of our peppers as we mince them into a 5-quart pot, because we're going to bring all this up to a heat and a simmer and kind of melt all the flavors together. And for everybody who's going to comment about how dangerous aluminum cooking pots are, I know, it's not aluminum, it's stainless steel. I use stainless steel, black iron, ceramic. Alright, so now we want to get our 1/2 cup's worth of jalapenos, and depending on how hot you want it, you could add more, or as I said before, you could add different kinds of peppers. I would go ahead and put the seeds of at least 1 of these, because we know most of the heat is in the seeds. So don't remove the seeds on the jalapenos if you wanted to. If you don't want it very hot, you could remove the seeds on most of them, but leave at least 1 with seeds so you can get some heat. Let's see. 1/2 cup. Probably going to be about 2. Well, my jalapenos are really big, so it's only going to take 2, and that's really going to put me over a little bit. And I'm actually going to go ahead and add probably 1/2 cayenne in there for color and a little more heat, because I like mine a little bit more spicy. Get all of that in the pot. Alright, now to our peppers, we're going to need 5 cups of sugar, because this is what is going to make our sweet, spicy jelly. And I'm telling you, if you serve this over like crackers or wheat thins or something like that with cream cheese, it's amazing. Spicy, sweet, creamy, good stuff. It's 2 cups. Cups. 5 cups. Now you can play around with the amount of peppers you put depending on the flavor that you want. If you want more spice, you could put more peppers or different kinds of peppers. If you want more sweet, you could add certain types of sweet fruit or whatever you want. But the only thing you really shouldn't play with in the ingredients would be your amount of sugar and your amount of vinegar, because you want to make sure that it's well preserved so you don't end up botulism growing in your jars, because the sugar and the vinegar both will act as preservatives and prevent that. You want to make sure you have enough. Okay, and now we need 1.5 cups of apple cider vinegar. I like to use apple cider vinegar when I can, when it won't alter the flavor of the food, because it's so much better for you. It's just really good for you. Sometimes I can't because it has a bit of a unique flavor and it will alter the flavor of things, but in this you can use it. Okay, then we want to put this over heat and let it start to simmer. Alright, now all we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and turn our pot on a slow heat. We want to bring it up to a boil. We want to stir everything, keep it mixing, melt all the sugar. When it comes up to a boil, we're going to turn it off and let it cool for a little bit and add our pectin. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, we have it on. And you see the sugars are already beginning to melt. It won't take very long. You want to stir it and get everything stirred and mixed together. And we just want to keep an eye on it, stirring it, and watching for when it comes to a boil. Okay, now while we're waiting for the pot to come to a boil, we can go ahead and start cleaning and sterilizing our jars. You want to make sure they're very clean. So we're going to take some hot water and scrub them out really good, no dust, nothing on them, nothing that can grow, microbials that can grow in our jellies, and make sure that they're really, really clean. If you do this right and your jars are clean and everything is sealed properly, they'll last on the shelf for a good 2 years. So we're going to go ahead and try to get all this cleaned and set up and ready so that we can pour it in when it's done. Okay, once this comes to a boil, as you can see, it's boiling. And it's going to happen quick, so keep an eye on it. But once it's boiling, you want to let it cook for about 3 minutes. So go ahead and give it a few minutes at boil, but not very long. See, it's starting to turn colors. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And we're going to let it cool for about 5 minutes. I'm going to continue to stir it so that it doesn't overcook, stick, which it shouldn't. You mostly just kind of want to get everything mixed really well and cooled off. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes of cool down time. And then I'm going to add my pectin. Alright, it's been cooling for about 5 minutes on a constant stir. I'm going to go ahead and add 6 ounces of pectin, which is usually 1 pack. Go ahead and this is liquid pectin, which is kind of a gelling agent. And you want to stir that in for at least a minute, because you want to make sure it's really well stirred. And after about 1 minute, you're going to ladle it into your clean, sterile jelly jars. Now the heat from this as it cools will create a suction which will seal your jars. So if you're only keeping it for, you know, a little while that you're going to eat them really quickly, that's fine. It'll keep for a few months like that. But if you're going to keep it long term or give them away to people whom you don't know how long they're going to keep them on the shelf, I would go ahead and give them a hot water bath, which you can go to my video on canning thistles, and at the end I show how to do a hot water bath to seal your jars really good. Now, this will make a very pretty clear jelly with pieces of colored pepper in it. But like I said, if you want, you could add food coloring to it to give it just a nicer demonstration, which I may go ahead and just ladle it in with like 2, 2, and 2. So I'll probably do 2 clear, 2 red, and 2 green. But I think it's really pretty clear. So I think it's cool enough now to go ahead and just put into jars. Now the peppers will tend to float to the top, and if you like that, that's fine. It's pretty. But if you want it evenly distributed, then come about every 20 minutes or so and flip your jar, and they'll kind of move through the jelly as it's beginning to solidify. And do that for about 2 hours. And then they'll be distributed as the jelly gets more firm. And this recipe more or less should make about 6 of these little jars, or 4 of the bigger ones, or medium ones. Most pepper jellies are either clear or green. Like I said, a lot of them are green, and you can either add food coloring for that, which most people do, or you can add more pepper, because the bell pepper has no heat, it's just flavor, but normally you only use 1 large bell pepper, and people usually just food color it. But I think it's pretty natural, just nice and clear. But for the effective demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and color at least 2 of them. These make really pretty Christmas gifts as well. You can tie a little twine around it, put a little card on how to make it, pass that off as a Christmas gift, so pretty. Oh, it's hot. Okay, I'll get my lids on here. And then I'm gonna get a pot holder where I can grab this, tighten them up really good. Get them good and tight. Give it a little shake. Kind of try to move those peppers around a little bit. I'm going to show you up close what it looks like right now because it's still in solution, but as it cools it's going to solidify into a very pretty, spicy, sweet, awesome jelly. See, the greens are really pretty, especially when you're using red peppers, red bell peppers, because it shows up. And again, like I said, this makes a nice little Christmas gift. So, I'm gonna let that continue. Alright, so there they are, and now they just need to cool. It's gonna take roughly about 2 hours, and like I said, I'm gonna rotate them about every 20 minutes just to kind of keep those peppers moving a little bit and distribute it through the jelly as it cools. Once it's cool, we'll come back and take a quick look, and then we'll taste them probably tomorrow. I'll open one of them and see. Because truthfully, as soon as they're gelled, you can start eating them, but I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that they're good and set and let them sit overnight, and then tomorrow we'll crack one open and see what it tastes like.
With some of that
Give me
green.
some of that.
That looked like some green jello.
It does. What's that
think it's
old
sour.
movie with Robin Williams with the green?
They like
Flubber.
Flubber.
Hallelujah.
I got the whole
I
meat.
gotta get another one. Go ahead, Josh. I'm gonna be getting behind you.
Well, you might do this smart and get multiple crackers.
Make you a
involved.
sandwich.
That's right.
Sandwich.
Another month, but I got that sound.
Alright, come on. Wait for it. Wait for oh, starting to feel it. Your mind's registering. Then you're like, wow.
There's the heat.
It's awesome.
What is that?
Homemade like that.